Have you ever had a crush on anyone and for some reason you just felt that this one is a bit too beyond your league and you feel like you will ever be able to get this person that you are crushing on? We encourage you to watch this video to the end because we promise you that whichever lady, whichever guy that you're crushing on can eventually become your future partner. So stay through till the end of this video and you'll find out exactly how you're going to make that happen. And so like we were saying before, if there's anyone you're ever crashing on, today we have these guidelines that will propel you into getting that crush become finally your partner. Of course, we are not promising that it will be easy. Most of the time it will be very difficult, but the good thing is that it is possible, and that is a good start. Yeah, it being possible is one thing we want you to put in your mind, right? The fact that you are having a liking to someone means that there's a probability that there could be a connection when you put in the work to try and make that a reality. Before we get started, just know that every lady or every guy can be in romantic relationship with any other guy or any other lady in this planet, and so you just have to do something that will positively intrigue them to be able to look at you in a different way. With that being said, let's get right into the points that we have for you today. So how do you make your crush your partner? How do you make that a reality, right? We have 3 points to share with you today. And before we begin with that, we just want to highlight a couple of things, which is, so when you find that sensational feeling in your heart when you begin to see a particular person, it's probably the beginning of when you feel that there's a particular attraction towards this person. And mostly what happens is most people begin to say, what if this other person is not as interested as I am at the moment? And it could be true. The other person is not as interested because they probably haven't noticed you. They could, but they probably haven't. And so it's your job right now to make sure that this person has a liking towards you as well. And that is what this particular video is about. Getting your crush who has zero idea who you are to finally identify your presence and begin to have the exact feelings you have towards the person to you as well. Yes, sir. And so we are telling you that the feeling you have for this person, we want you to make it a reciprocal something. And so with that being said, the first point that we encourage you to really make it a 4-point is that know that it is possible. The me I see is the me I'll be. Now this time around, we are telling you once again, is that what you see yourself to become is what inevitably you see yourself to become in reality. And so what we are saying literally is that see yourself that you can be in such relationship with whatever person we are talking about here, whether it's your churchmate, your schoolmate, or whatever, knowing that it's a possibility is what we are talking to you right now. Yeah, I think most of the time we set limiting beliefs towards our own imagination. Immediately we find that sensational feeling towards the other person, we immediately tell ourselves, no, it's not possible. There's no way this other person will have interest in me. And so that limiting belief becomes what you see. And so the me you see in your imagination is what becomes your reality. And so you realize that this other person becomes way beyond your league, right? They could be within range, but because you set that limiting belief to yourself, they kind of propel precipitously into an entire league altogether. Of course, there is nobody in this world too much for you, whether the person is the daughter of a president, whether the person is a finance minister, whatever it is, there's no one beyond your league. And so there's also another saying that we've said in a previous video, that believe and your belief will turn into fact. Now, this small belief will compound and becomes fact. The science to it will be shared to you another day, but just believe right now. That's what we are telling you. Yeah, how many times have you heard stories where a son of a great person begins to find feelings towards someone you would probably say is not worthy because they probably don't have the wealth as compared to this other person. That means there's something beyond just having money and all of that, and it begins in the mind, like you are saying. And so you can find attraction towards whoever, no matter how far they may be in your league. There's still an emotion called love that bridges whatever distance that society has brought between us because of wealth and all of that. The next 2 points we have for you are very important, but I cannot stress this point enough, which is the believing factor. There is no one really in this world that achieves anything that they don't believe. And so the believing is really important. Without the believing, you are almost inevitably wouldn't get it. Yeah, even though we are talking about relationships, sometimes when you listen to us deeply, these are points you can always apply towards other parts of your life. Anytime you believe in yourself to be able to acquire whatever in life, you will be able to acquire. And it's no different from attracting the girl next door, the girl next to you in church right now, that you can also make that person your girlfriend. So boyfriend. This your friend that you don't respect, that you think is nobody, that is dating someone that you really admire. What do you think made that difference? You know that something was possible. This was not for boys or for girls. This is something that and really for boys or for girls, it's a spiritual thing you believe here in Ghana, where someone goes to a spiritualist to try and get the other person to fall in love with the other person. Indeed. So some things this individual is doing that we believe that you can make it a possibility as well. Yeah, so these are the steps when you put in place will really help you to attract whoever. And the second point is you need to connect with them every single day. Make your partner recognize you the most. That's why I'm saying connect with the person every day. And so now you got the person's contact, hopefully, which is very important. You need to make sure that you're having some kind of connection every day, whether in person, whether through text or video call. It is very important. The key idea is that you are connecting every day. Yeah, and so today with the help of the internet, with the help of the phones, connecting with someone has become way easier than it was in the past. Mm-hmm. So right now, even though I'm in my house, I can just take a phone to call you. You already know about that. So it's our time you made use of it in terms of our love life. This time around, you don't want to make this other person be at the other side of the country and be thinking a whole lot of other things. Meanwhile, you could just phone the friend and stay in contact with the person to make the person fall for you through constant connection and communication. So this point is also very important, and we have 3 sections in this point that will encourage you to be connecting every day. Now there's the text, there is the phone call, and there is the traditional face-to-face. All of them are really important. In fact, just one of them can make the person really notice you the most. And so adding the 3 of them all together can just, put the icing on the cake. Yeah, so me and Jerry have this kind of thing that we do. When you get a new girl in your life, what you do is you want to stay in constant text with this person. Try and get the person to text with you 24/7. Never let the conversation die out, and be particular about talking to this particular person about herself all the time. In texting, we also encourage you to be the most funniest person ever. Now, there are 2 things in meeting someone that leave a really lasting mark. The one is about sharing them with money and gifts, and the other is being very funny, because everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be smiling all the time, and you want to be the shoulder that the person is coming to smile on, not cry on, And so almost every time, make sure you are the funniest person ever. Make sure the person is laughing. Make sure the person feels you that this is my happy place. Whenever they enter into your DM, I'm becoming very happy, whatever the situation they are facing. Of course, you would definitely get noticed that way if you don't have. And another thing when it comes to texting is that be sure to reply as quickly as you can. That is one reverse psychology, where someone delays your message and immediately the message comes. Even after 3 hours, you are quick to reply the message. And so it leaves the person thinking, that's kind of weird. And so they also feel like replying quickly as well. But I think what that does is that whenever you are replying quickly, it becomes some form of a system. The person knows that whenever I text you, you're going to reply very quickly. If the opposite is done in after a while, now that becomes a flex. Because if from the start you always reply late, the person knows that that's who you are. But if you're always almost replying every day for about a month, for about 2 months, everything you are doing, you are replying very fast. Now, anytime you want to flex by replying 2 hours late, now the person will know that either something is wrong with you or you are angry or whatever. Now that becomes a flex to hold on to. And so following the me and Jerry system, right? You also do not want to stay in a text zone forever, as you quickly want to plan to take the conversation from text message to the call stage, and that is where the magic truly happens. Now, you think you know the person over text. Trust me, you have no clue who the individual is. Now, calling is a whole new ball game that you have to master, because with the call, we have certain tips and tricks that after the call is done, trust me, the person will feel almost in love with you. No doubt about that. And so you want to strategize your calls. If you are not so good at it, make sure you plan out exactly the questions to be asking this particular question. It doesn't hurt to jot certain things down if you are not so good with conversation. Because if you leave the conversation hanging over call, then it will really mess the whole thing up. So prepare adequately. I think your point is very good. You made a good point, Claire. Even though the call can be the magic, but it can really mess things up if you don't do it well. You don't want to start asking sexual questions, asking things that are really, even though are interesting in some time, on the early stage can be very weird. And so make sure, like Jeffrey said, it will be very good to plan and write the questions that you really want to ask. It doesn't really hurt. Now, one thing you also take note is that before you call, make sure you are calling at the time that the person is relaxed. You don't want to call the person and the person is giving you an undivided attention. Everything for yourself every time that you want. Yeah, but sometimes me and Jerry do violate this kind of rule, because sometimes when we are like, can I call you? Sometimes they're like, no, I don't like calls. Immediately at that point, we are going to call you on the phone just to let you know that we are taking no for an answer in every case. That can be very powerful. Now, it messes with the mind of the person. It makes the person know that you are a rule breaker, and somehow, ladies in this case like men who are really unpredictable. Yeah, true. That doesn't mean that go about calling other people whenever they are not in the mood for. This is also subjective. You need to read this person particularly. By this time, you believe that you probably know their schedules to know that they are mostly free from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Or, just be abreast with all of this before you go about being cycle. I think we also encourage you that the evening can be a right time, because most of the time the person is away from work and is relaxing. And so if the person will get time for you, mostly that will be the time where they want to lay the activities they have in the course of the day for you to have at least something to talk about. Yeah, again, me and Jerry believe in talking about every single thing. There shouldn't be any barrier when it comes to expressing yourself. Talk about every single thing. Feel free to ask this person, are you in a relationship? When was the last time you dated? All of that thing. And when the person is in a relationship, it can be a bummer for most people, but me and Jerry, doesn't really detest us. We still go ahead to show affection towards you. I think we may have to do a video on that, where your crush is in a relationship. How do you go about that, right? Wow. But for now, even if your crush is in a relationship, don't end the conversation. Still be around and go as though the person is not in a relationship. I'm not encouraging you to take other people's girlfriends and boyfriends, but then in this case, we are. If your partner is if your crush is in a relationship, you can decide not to ask. When this particular person you are talking to never raises up that he's in a relationship or she's in a relationship, now that gives you a sign that the person is actually interested in really knowing you, because other than that, he or she will just tell you straightforward, I'm in a relationship and I'm not interested right now. And so you don't really want to propose. You don't want to ask the person, are you dating? Because these two things can be slow if it's your ask. Oh yes, and I think Jerry just reminded me that we will probably do a video about not proposing to a girl and eventually getting the person to be in whatever relationship you want the relationship to be in, right? That's very nice. Now, in the call, we also encourage you to know and connect with the people around this person you are talking about. Now, this, I'm telling you, is very important. It works like magic. If the person has a cat, make sure that you know the name of the cat, their activities, what they like doing, their parents. Make sure you at least talk with their roommates, know their name. When you go, just tell your roommate and say hi. These things just remind the person about you almost all the time. Now, after the text and the calling has been well to do, now moves on to the real stage, which is the face-to-face. Naturally, God created man and woman to be face-to-face, not on the internet or on the call. And so eventually you will have to end up in face-to-face, and this is also another magic on its own. Yeah, and so if you have been texting or calling this person for a long while and you are yet to meet this person for the very first time, you need to be very particular about how you go about it. Me and Jerry, we are going to share with you how we go about it. And the first thing we do is we appear as confident. In fact, if you've been able to talk to you over the phone, trust me, there's nothing we can't tell you face to face. What we do is immediately we meet you, we start by giving you a huge smile. Of course, that means we talked about a lot of things. So when I see you, I'm like, so you are the one. So you just smile so broad and be excited to meet this person, but appear very confident. Don't look shy in any way, because truly the person has been able to talk with you over the phone about everything, like we said. And when I say everything, I do mean 18 plus everything kind of thing. And so when you meet this other person, still appear as confident as you were on the phone. I think because of the 18 plus and other nasty things you guys are talking about will make the opponent otherwise shy. And so what you have to do is you have to put on the armor on your chest, because you have to appear very confident. Now, the first time you meet the person, let the person know that they can rely on you. Also, when you meet face to face, that is where you really want to show the individual what you are about. Now, the first thing you don't want to do is pretend to be someone you are not. Now, listen, that can be a headache if the relationship works, because when you approach to be the president or the son of a president or the son of Dangote, and you don't have anything in the long run, you know how it is going to hurt you. And so be upfront and become who you are confidently, and no matter who you are, you find something in you. Yeah, we've talked about this particular point in our previous videos. So go back to watch these videos, which will help you to be able to vibe with this particular person face to face, right? So the third point we have for you is that you need to stand out. Now, you may probably not be the only person going through the process that you are in. You may be amongst other people, and of course, he or she will be comparing you with all these people. And that is the time that you have to be different. Now, imagine if you were walking or driving by the street and you saw a white cow. I mean, okay, that's no big deal. But imagine you were walking another day and you see a pink cow. Now, that may stop you for a moment and look at it in a very different way. You may probably keep thinking about it for the rest of the day, the rest of the week, or probably months or years to come. What this analogy means is that you want to really stand out away from the crowd, so that even in her leisure time or in the busiest time, you can flip through your mind and laugh about you because you did something that made you stand out, that left a lasting memory in their hearts. Yeah, and so another thing we want you to do is you want to find out some of the common traits of their exes, right? And so if they were bad, be sure to filter them and not do it. But if they were good, be sure to press on those. If your crush says that their exes were someone that really liked to insult, then you know that you really do not have to insult this person. You need to keep it clean all the time. In being different, one of the tricks me and Jeffrey like to use is to give the person a nickname. I don't know the science behind this, but it really does a good magic. Now, the best name I've given so far is Malkova, which means a woman king. A king is a woman. Now, of course, the more you mention names like that, the person will go and look at the name and reflect with the person. Now, they identify themselves as this person you are talking about, and then indeed, I'm telling you that it really does the magic. By the way, the name Malkova has been registered, so don't go about using it. Thank you very much. So we hope these points that we raised for you really help. These 3 vital points, trust me, it's something you enjoy have been using all this while to getting attached to people we felt we want to be attracted to, and not just randomly letting it happen. So follow these 3 steps to identify your crush and go about making them your partner. These points have been tried and tested, and initially we thought it was impossible, but going through all the stages we've gone through, we know and now we can affirm to you that if you can go through these ways, you find your crush becoming your partner. Yeah, so if you find value in what we gave you, if you feel like these things we gave you or work, or probably you've tested it out and it worked, leave a comment right in the comment section, and also be sure to subscribe if you want. So we'll be happy if you do, but no pressure. But then go ahead anyway. Thank you very much for staying tuned to this part. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.